I'm on. I am. Hello. How's everybody? What break have we just done? You've got a plate of food, Rachel. What's a pretzel? Oh, I missed out on that. I was doing the old, I've got to talk next. I better, dry my pits and finish my slides and stuff. So that was me sharing a moment of vulnerability with you all. You can feel free to share back. You don't have to. Okay. Well, thank you for coming to this session. My aim today is to keep things lively, keep us somewhat energized, and ideally all of us going away from this with some really practical, actionable techniques that we are looking forward to implementing when we get back. So my title is Post-its and Digital Project Managers, and it's about solving project problems with UX methods. So first of all, I'll tell you about me. So I'm Shahina Patel. So I work at Punchcard, which is a company in Edmonton in Canada. I'm actually from the UK originally. Who did a woohoo? Canada? Yeah. Or Edmonton? No, it's Edmonton. No one ever is. But over at Punchcard, my job title is Consultant brackets Strategy and Experience. But I've always been a project manager, and I still am. Like Yvette said, it's just part of who you are, and I really do feel that about myself. I really love the summit, so I am an... Oh, hey, Juan, did I take my lanyard off? Never mind. I was going to just hold up the little alumni thing, because this is my third summit. I hope it's not the last, and I'm really glad you're all here, and I hope you are too. So let's move on with the show. So facilitation is a topic that's going to come up, and I want to know from you guys, what does that word mean to you? So what does facilitation, when you do it, what does that look like? And I have a task for you. If you take out your devices, head to slido.com. You'll see this screen here. I've assumed you're on a phone. In that little bit there, put in the code U047 and hit polls. And once you get to that, start entering all the words, all the terms that come to mind for you when you think of facilitation. I'm going to time you. So we have 1 minute. Is everybody somewhat ready? Yeah? Okay, I'm not. So, okay, let's go. So we're a quarter of the way through. So what you're actually doing is you're creating a poll in Slido. And what's going to happen is you might start seeing this on your screens actually, a word cloud, because they're super trendy. We're going to start to see what kind of terms we come up with more than others. And that might give us a sense of really what this group's kind of shared understanding of that word is. And obviously there'll be some outliers because we all have different perspectives, but we've got about 15 seconds. Oh, we've got some big ones coming out here. Okay. That's all. All right, so let's see what you all had. I'm going to close that and open it again and see what word we had more than anything. So, leading, guiding, collaboration, they're the ones that stand out to me. Here a bit more now. We've got listening as well. Guidance is not tiny, so I think that one fits. Hey, who's still putting stuff in? Come on, man. Your minute's up. Okay. Is making people one sentence, or was that making and people? Because that might be a strange one, making people. But, framing the gathering, that's nice. Okay, these are awesome. And now I don't have to do my rant, I don't think, because I think we actually have quite a shared understanding of what I believe facilitation means as well. So let me switch back to my slides and tell you what it means to me. So to me, it's this. It's one of the techniques that's used to create the insight, the data that's used in user experience-related processes. I find facilitation to be a very empowering role to take and a very empowering task to complete. Considering user experience, now that's meaningful and very important. And both of those skills, tasks, jobs, if you like, they take leadership. They take a willingness to approach problems, to go to the problem rather than waiting for the problem to come to us. It takes being comfortable with conflict. It takes learning how to negotiate and having to negotiate, being able to mediate, and this is a big one for me, to unlock greatness in others. And all of that, I think, is very much within a PM's wheelhouse. In my experience, though, I've not found that facilitators are naturally the ones who also manage projects. I've always worked with facilitators who are not that role. They're usually something or other UX researcher or something designer. And I really needed to hammer this point home. But like I said, I don't have to rant about it. So facilitation to me is not this. This one comes up. We like it. It's a nice catchphrase. But for me, if you're a project manager and you prepare for a workshop or prepare for a meeting, it doesn't mean just this. It's not just booking it, hassling everybody to come and making sure they turn up, and then providing the snacks. To take part just doesn't mean you're there making notes just because you're the project manager. That's automatically your job. And to follow up doesn't mean just circulating the notes that really, does anybody need to do that? They were all there. Does anybody really read them? You can and should do more. And based on our word cloud, I think we already are. So I'm glad we all agree on that. Let's go back to user experience and talk about this session, what we're going to learn. What can we adapt from a user experience researcher's toolkit? Is anybody here familiar with customer journey maps? Show of hands. Okay, some of you, that's excellent. Okay, for all of us, let me explain just a brief description. So to me, a customer journey map, it's an artifact that comes from user research. And what a customer journey map does is it shows a customer's journey using that product, that service, over a period of time. What it can do is it can highlight pain points at that journey. It can also highlight where there's opportunities for improvement. It can also show touch points between the organization and the customer as they use that product or service. And I love them because they're a very visual indication of what's happening in time and for an individual. I'll show you some examples. So this one's a very detailed one. I can't remember what it's for, and I'll be honest, I can't see from here. But what you have here is along that first set, which is blue arrows, you've got the stages, and then you've got the circles and the zigzag. They're the tasks that that person is doing. And then there's some rows for what the customer is thinking or feeling, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very layered. But the thing that's consistent is that time goes that way. Here's another one. So on this one, again, we've got the stages along the top in those thin arrows and then the actions that a person is taking. Oh, this one also does include what the customer might be thinking and feeling. And then there's a box there at the bottom for opportunity. Here's one which obviously somebody with some design chops made, because look at those colors, it's very pleasing. But again, consistency in the stages, the steps, and this one includes touch points, which can be quite useful. So there's just a few. If you were to Google this, you would find so many. The things that are consistent, stages, steps, I think you always have to have those ones. But everything else is kind of optional depending on what the purpose is of the customer journey map. Now, I want us to consider making these for our clients, calling them client journey maps, because our clients are our customers. And if we put those clients front and center in how we do our work and how we interact with them, how we deliver our services to them, we'll put our priorities ahead of theirs. Instead, we'll do what they need from us rather than what we're used to doing and what we want to give them. Because it's really easy to fall into the trap of, yeah, that client just doesn't get Gantt charts because everybody else does. Why don't they? If we think instead about what they need, we can do a much better job of actually providing our service to them, which is really what we're in the business of doing. So, for this task today, and it is 3:15, so I think we have an hour, we're going to make a customer journey map together. We won't do the whole thing because they're quite big, but what we'll do is we'll think about the breadth of this conference. We'll think about the experience of a DPM Summit attendee, and we'll pick one of the stages to go through to identify pain points and opportunities. And the reason to do that is so that we get some practice brainstorming, grouping, discussing, presenting, all of the things that are skills that lend themselves very, very well to the types of workshops and the types of facilitation that can help all of you maybe apply some of these techniques to your own work. So first off then, we need to identify the different stages of the customer journey map we will do for a DPM Summit 2018 attendee. So those ones are, so I've just picked 5 here. So first stage I've said is preparing to attend. That's the stage. The actions are for the customer, for the attendee, which could be any of you, is to find out the ticket price maybe, agree the time off, book the travel, etc. And the next step is getting here. So that will require traveling to here by some sort of vehicle likely. You have to get to your hotel, check in. And then our third stage is registering. So this is when we all meet Laurie and the volunteers at the registration desk. We get our lanyard, we get our swag bag. Our next one is attending the sessions, and this is where we are right now. So that's when you choose where to go. You find where you want to go. You have to decide between which sessions do you want to miss, because you really want to go to this one. You take notes, etc. And then there's the follow-up that happens after the summit. So you may join Slack, you'll make connections, etc. You might collaborate with people that you just met here. You might write about what you've learned, attending other talks and conferences. So is everybody okay with the different stages of the DPM Summit experience for the DPM Summit attendee? Just need, cool, okay. We're going to focus on this one because it's the one that we're in right now. And this is where we're going to start to do some exercises. I have some material. Oh boy, do I have materials. Got a lot of stuff. Okay, so, oh, sorry, Juan. I'll try not to knock it. All right, so for the rest of this session, we will be doing some individual brainstorming, and then we will be getting into groups where we'll start to stick some stuff on these boards. Now, you can move yourselves, and you can definitely move the boards, but I reckon, how many of us are in here? Like, I'm not good at estimating, but maybe like 300, 400, something. How many?
46.
46, that's very precise. So divide, just a tiny bit, yeah. I'm a project manager, it's that, you know, that dice you roll on everything, yeah. Okay, so 46 divided by this many is? 9, yeah. Okay, so if we roughly get into that size of group, that would be great. If you want to go bigger, I would say have your group at least 5, but maybe no more than 15, because then it would be difficult to discuss. But are you all up for standing up and coming down here, grabbing a pen and some Post-its? Thanks, folks. Yes, please. So I have all the colours here. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw those at you.
Should I grab one for everybody or just a couple?
What you can do with those is just split them. So I'd say like get a few for your group and then you can split them up, yeah. Put that. Oh, there's my lanyard. Let me pop that right back on. Had it over here. No. Oh, my belt. I'm going to leave the pink one for you. Oh, yeah. I'm still on. Try splitting up the Post-it pads so they go far. Oh, this is a good idea. Yeah, spread the boards out. Do a time check. Everyone. Take a pen like this. Yeah. If you can, please. Super. Okay. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any more Post-its? Good question. Here, have blue ones. And pink ones. going? Has everybody got something? Whose pens are these ones? Is this your group's?
Yeah, I just kind
Travis? Okay, all right. Does everybody feel like they had, not feel, okay, does everybody actually have a pen and a Post-it in their hands? Awesome, okay. So we're going to do some, wait, I have a hand up here. Does somebody need something? Okay. So like I said, we're going to build out the attending portion of our customer journey map. And we're going to consider all the tasks a person completes while attending the DPM Summit. And following on from that, our activity will be to look for pains and opportunities where this conference may improve that experience. Here's a twist though. We're going to turn the problem upside down. So instead of trying to work out how we create a really positive, fulfilling, meaningful experience for users, we're going to explain how we would create a terrible experience for conference attendees. So for example, not signing anything, locking the doors, etc. The reason that we're going to do that is that we're going to be using something called the anti-problem technique. And I'll tell you what that is after this exercise. But for now, does anybody have any questions about how to do this?
So we're writing on the sticky notes things that would make it hard for people to attend the conference.
Exactly. Like what would make a terrible, what would contribute to a terrible experience? Yeah. Do one thing per sticky. You don't have long. And because this is quiet and you're individually brainstorming, the way that I'm going to get you all to have your eyes back at me is I will raise my hand when you have your minute up. If anybody sees me with a raised hand, please raise yours. If you see anyone else with a raised hand, you raise it. And eventually we'll all have our hands raised. We're not writing. And we'll all have the focus back here. And it means I don't have to shout. Is that okay? Okay, so look for the raised hands. But for now, we have, how long am I going to give you? All right, you can have 2 minutes then. Go on. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes, okay, everybody? Go. So this is how I often brainstorm and write Post-its, is scribble, 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 stick it on me, scribble, scribble, move on, stick it on me. But eventually you will want them all on your board. Doesn't matter what order you put them on in the board. I'm already overhearing some very fun ones here. Okay, we have 30 seconds left. Seconds. That's it. Thank you. Okay, that wasn't as effective. This side, though, well done, everybody. This side, are you ready? Oh, do you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to tell you the best Post-it removal technique. Here it is, I'll show you. So now sometimes the bottom of a Post-it curls, which makes it not want to stay on. If you take your Post-it pad, pull directly down, and then stick it, stays nice and flat. So there you go. Pull down. Oh, it's because that's fabric, but there you go. Yeah, I always forget to explain that one when I do workshops until afterwards when I see the Post-its like slowly coming off. Okay, how was that?
Great.
Fun? Great? These are good adjectives. How about an adjective from this side? How was that for you? Easy, easy, that's good. Clicker. So let me expect, could I just, thank you. So I said I was going to explain what the anti-problem technique is. So it's a game storming technique, and game storming is a collection of activities, etc., that people can use for facilitating discussions. It's a book that looks like this, and I strongly recommend getting it because there's a lot of really good stuff in here. And I use the anti-problem technique, which is outlined in this book, for times in a session like this, when really our goal is to understand how we are supposed to create a better experience or solve a problem. It can be very, very hard to fix the problem straight away or to avoid even getting into solutions very, very early on. So what anti-problem does is it helps to unstick thinking, and sometimes clients, they can't imagine or picture an actual better way of doing something. So anti-problem can help with that. If you combine that with the 5 whys to dig very deep, so the 5 whys, something we heard from Patrice earlier today, something that we heard from Lena yesterday. It's a very simple, very good technique from Toyota. Anti-problem plus 5 whys, you dig deep into the cause of a problem, which is really effective in helping you find a solution that has longevity. And here's why, because it helps uncover what somebody needs rather than what they want. So you're all familiar with Henry Ford. Henry Ford is the inventor of Ford cars. But he says famously, or he may or may not have said, it's possibly a myth. But anyway, apparently he said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Because before cars were invented, that's not something anybody could have imagined. So, everybody would have had faster horses rather than, I don't know, cars like this one. So, okay, our next exercise is going to be this one. We're going to be getting into our groups, so if anybody needs more space, do feel free to spread out. I want us to find common groupings and relationships between the post-its that you've all written, so between your ideas. So for this one, you will have to talk to each other, and you'll have to explain what you were thinking so that there's shared understanding between when somebody writes no coffee and somebody else writes coffee bad. Like, what did you mean by that? Are they really closely linked, or maybe you meant different things? So, talk to each other, explain, find common groupings and relationships, and then label them. So, with the labeling, just take one of your Sharpies and write it on the board. You've got 5 minutes to do that. Do you think that's long enough? Are you guys going to talk a lot or talk fast? 5 minutes? Okay, let's do 5 minutes. For this one, because you'll be noisy, I'm going to use one of my other... Okay. Spray that one, all right? Listen out for that. I'll set off a timer now. So I'll leave this one up, refer back to it so you know what you're doing, but we have 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's fine, there's not too much visuals. Oh, thanks, Miriam.
Food poisoning.
Do you remember San Antonio and the bugs? Do you remember the bugs in San Antonio? I sure do. I had a cockroach in my shoe, Travis. I know, it's terrible.
That's not, that's not fun.
Is there some good stuff here? Ooh, got my mic on. Oh, did you?
This is the having intentions. This is
checkers. Yeah, I do love checkers. Yeah.
Did you want the light? You don't want the light?
Yeah, I think you just
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thanks. So I didn't realize it was on earlier when everybody heard my cockroach story. Again, another moment of vulnerability. 2 years ago at this conference, DPM Summit 2016, it was in San Antonio, the crickets, not cockroaches, crickets in the hotel. It's a very hot place, very normal, but one was in my shoe. It's very sad because I didn't realize it was in there and my shoe just felt kind of uncomfortable. So I took it off, it was lots of pieces of no such problems here. I don't think anyway. Okay, so good job everybody. I can see some sense has been made of all of the post-its everywhere. Does everybody feel like they've finished the task? Who's not finished? Oh, quite a few, but you have. Do you want another minute? Nah. Tell you what, let's keep going. And if we need to give you some time to catch up, we can certainly do that. All right. So our next activity is going to be, based on those groupings, identify how to avoid the pain points that have come up. So I heard earthquake over here, right? If you had a grouping which was act of God, I was going to say inclement weather, but that's much grander. Find out ways that you might avoid or mitigate against those things to ensure that if those things happen, so we want to avoid them ideally, but if they were to happen, how might we reduce their impact or their risk to the experience of the conference attendee? So I've said write down a different color post-it, but what I might ask you to do, because I can see that space is at a premium, take the cover off, take a fresh sheet of post-it, maybe a 0.1 scribe, and just write the grouping and then start writing the answers, or write the grouping and start writing the post-its, but yeah, move to a different sheet. Don't affix anything to the walls, everybody. It's definitely not allowed, but okay. If you get, yeah, flat is fine on here. So, how's it going? Nice. Okay. I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. If you haven't started already, off you go. Cleve, good to meet you. Got my back, thank you. Okay. So by the way, I find stuff like this in flea markets in Vancouver, but it's only like it's always been a bit too loud for the rooms I'm in, so I've just got them all out today. Okay, so how was your discussions? Yeah? Okay. Does it feel like the thinking is naturally progressing and building on the previous activity? Okay, that's really, really important. Yeah, go on, Cleve.
I'm wondering, does it matter quality at this point of suggestions, or are we just looking for quantity?
Quantity is good. Now, if we had more time, we would probably weed out the really ridiculous ones. And we would probably have more conversation, and we would probably work together more as individual, like maybe pairs as well, because then naturally the quality emerges itself. At this stage for this particular exercise, it can be either. Because really the thing that I want everyone to get used to is not being afraid of having an idea that you write down and you share. Because one of the things that can, so this is one thing about facilitation. Facilitation is the ability to, I think I said this before, bring out the best in people, so bring out their best ideas. And sometimes a workshop where you say, everybody give me some ideas, is not an ideal situation for lots of people. And what can happen is maybe the loudest voices in the room end up with their ideas externalized, or the people that can tidy things up in a really neat, like 4 or 5 word punchy statement. And the people who might take a bit longer to explain what they're thinking or kind of go, oh, it's a bit like, you know what I mean? Their ideas can sometimes get a bit shut down because there is a feeling of like, just hurry up, what point are you making? Like, we're all listening. So the point of this exercise is to get used to, as I said, not being afraid of having an idea. There's no judgment at this point as to whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. It's just an idea. What we are all agreed on is what question we're trying to answer. So getting used to that, getting used to discussing, and every idea being up for discussion. We're not ruling anything out yet. Because we're yet to get to that stage of narrowing down to what's actually a reasonable idea. Because remember, we want to avoid the immediate solutioning that can happen when you first start talking about a problem. So we're doing all of these as building blocks to steadily get us to a really good solution that, as I said earlier, it has longevity, it's successful, etc., etc. So Cleve, to answer your question. Does that? Yeah, wonderful. Okay. So what were we saying? It was good. Da-da-da. All right. Did you all come up with some groupings then? I just want you to shout out from over there, like the top 3 groupings. What had the most post-its in?
Food and beverage.
Food and beverage. How about for this group over here?
Creature comforts.
Creature comforts. I'm interested to know how that's defined. This one? Food and beverage. Food. And what about over there? What had the most post-its?
Venue and probably sessions.
Venue and sessions. Okay, so food and beverage came up more than the others, but there was a few others that are obviously equally important because we had ideas about them. So our next, this will be our next task. So voting. What we're going to do after this is present back. I just want to skip ahead. Oops. I want to skip ahead a bit to tell you what we're going to do eventually, because I want you to know what our eventual last step is going to be. But what we're going to do next is vote. So in your groups of the group, so these groups here, look at what groupings you've got. Look at what ideas you came up to address some of the pain points within those groupings. Now, as individuals, you get 3 votes each. Each vote is represented by a dot that you will draw. Put your 3 dots across any of your pain point addressing suggestions of your groups. And pick the ones, vote for the ones that for you as an individual you think, if we did this, that would have the biggest impact. So I want an example for a food and beverage, food over here. For your food grouping, what kind of idea did you have to address a problem? Just one.
Better spread out food delivery.
Better spread out food delivery. Okay. So if you as an individual think, if we did this one thing, it would have the biggest impact to the to the customer's experience, to the attendee's experience, then you might put all 3 dots on that one thing. But otherwise, you have 3. I'd say use them wisely, but use them however you want. But what we're looking to do is to see collectively, you as a group, what are you thinking will make the biggest difference? What one change or what one action or what one thing might the summit do to improve the experience overall? So you have 3 dots. You have as long as it takes. Yes?
Is this just confined to the one that has the most suggestions, or
Oh no, you can go all across your groupings and all across the ideas that you discussed. Okay. Per person. Oh no, you as an individual have 3 dots. And as an individual, you can put your dot on any of the solutions that you came up with. Has nearly finished. Something that if you facilitate big groups, you'll want to look out for is people's body language. And what I really love is when people have like externalized and done some thinking and discussion and grouping, and then naturally they just take a step back and kind of stand there and like, yeah, this is good. And we kind of had a bit of that on this side of the room while this group was still working through things. So I could tell we were done over there. Okay. All right, so good job, everybody. When I was walking around, I saw a few like real standout areas for addressing that clearly, you know, in your groups, you're all thinking like this one would make a big difference. So as a group of users, let's talk about this as a technique again. As a group of representative users, you've given your real perspectives and your real views on a process that impacts you and affects you. That's the best way to do any kind of research that's like this, is to involve the people who it actually affects. It's not quite the same as like, I forgot the phrase. Where's Rachel?
Not about us, but not with us, or something like that.
Nothing about us without us.
Nothing about us without us. So I don't want to co-opt that for this. But if you can, use real people to identify and work through issues like this when it involves them. So that includes talking to your clients, who are your customers, about what do they need from the work that you do, from the processes that you involve them in. Take the opportunity to have those conversations. You don't have to do it as a workshop like this, but I have done it as using the anti-problem And it is a fun way to do it. It definitely like lightens the mood. It stops us feeling too serious about status reports and stuff. And it helps to just ask the question of like, what do you need? Let me do that for you. Okay, our next task is going to be presenting back. So I want you to take a bit of time to prepare this. So in each of your groups, hopefully I'll let all of you know, if you just discuss and have one person do this, but create a summary of kind of where you started with, maybe share some of your really ludicrous ideas from very early on, which were the anti-problem, like whichever fun ones you have. Take us through your discussion and how you arrived at the voting that you did, the one that had the most dots on it. So say we came up with these ones, for example. Then we discussed and we decided on these groupings. Then we came up with these particular ideas. You don't have to do all of them, but just give us some examples. And then following that, our vote showed that this was our top category or way that we could address that pain point. Is that good? I didn't write this one down, so you might just have to remember it. But basically, tell us a story. Tell us a story of your last 40 minutes or so. I'll give you a few minutes to prepare it, talk amongst yourselves, and then make sure somebody is nominated, and I'll come back to you in 2 minutes. Is that good? Quick just show of hands. When it comes to audible attention-grabbing things, is the horn or the bell better? Really? Okay, bell. Bell over on this side. Horn. Horn on this? Okay, horn. All right. The horn is. Is that good or? I thought it was a bit clowny, yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh, okay then. Thank you for that feedback, everybody. Okay. So we've said that we are ready to present back. I'll just wait for this group to be very. Are you ready? Okay. Let's just go in the orientation. Do you want to go first, this group?
Particularly, but if you'd like us.
Not particularly. We'll tell you what. Let's get you guys to go first.
And then we can move out of the.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, so who's presenting? It's Cleve. Okay, hi Cleve, thank you. So as a reminder, if you just maybe give us some examples of the anti-problem ideas that you came up with, and then what you discussed to be your groupings, And then from that, what kinds of solutions you came up with. And then following on from that, what your group chose as the standout area to address to create a good user experience for the DPM Summit attendee. Is that good? Okay.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. See if you can project.
Cool. So a lot of our anti-problems were about like the environment. You know, we said creature comforts in the very beginning. So things like cold rooms, right? Or the seating's not good enough, or you're squished in your seating, or bathrooms are stinky, or no coffee, food poisoning. Hopefully that didn't happen to anybody here. All the speakers have to yell. Eventually, we all came to the conclusion that the environment was one of the biggest ones. So narrowing down things like random pigs everywhere, or big bugs everywhere, or even like cold forks. Nobody likes cold forks. So as we were having the conversation, we came up with a couple, do you want me to go solutions? Not two.
Yes, yeah. Just a few ideas that you had to address some of the points you made.
So a couple of the ideas that we had to solve for this would be like do an actual venue walkthrough. Yes, while time consuming, it's very important to know your entire environment. For like things like the cold room, use Slack, do a simple poll on Slack of like, hey, how's the temperature? Press an icicle if it's cold or a fire if it's hot, you know? So you could just do something like that. Be a little bit more proactive, even though it's like in the event, instead of being reactive to your environment. Establish a point of contact within the hotel for each issue that might arise. So like, do we need to talk with Bob or Sally when it comes to turning up or turning down the temperature? And then last but not least, like an accessibility review. Like we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with all the issues that might be out there, visible or or invisible. You know?
Thank you. And what did your group vote as the?
So the environment.
Oh yes, you said that.
Was the highest chosen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yep.
Great presenting, Cleve. We should say thanks. And then we said this group. Who's presenting from your group?
I'll present.
What's your name?
Anira.
Anira. Thank you. Go for it.
Okay, so we, should I start by saying what we ended up with, or start by giving examples?
Give us 3 examples.
Okay, so 3 anti-problems were, say, didn't provide food or water, like it was food and beverage related. Another one was not having a proper schedule, and another one was actually having problems with facilities like no Wi-Fi. And we ended up having the main groupings turn out to be around amenities, hotel conditions, speaker sessions, food and beverages, timing, and then schedule and general organization. Interestingly, the 2 highest votes, like the 2 points that got the most votes were related to hotel conditions and speaker sessions. Is that right? Yes. Okay, and under hotel conditions, the idea was like actually doing some legwork ahead of time, visiting, I guess having somebody visit beforehand, look at reviews, and confirm the ability to handle a large group in advance. And that was actually the one we landed on. In terms of the process, I felt like, everyone else agrees, it just kind of flowed because of the process itself made it pretty democratic. And then of course the voting too, it just rose to the top what the most important issue is.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna. So we will move around this way. So we'll start with
I'm Gavin.
Gavin. We'll start with you. So give us, go 3, 3, and 3. 3 anti-problems, 3 of your groupings, 3 of your solutions, and the 1 that came out on top.
All right, perfect. So 3 of the anti-problems that we came up with were foodborne illness, and then the other 2 were more distraction related, having puppies everywhere, which depending on who you are may or may not be a problem, and then also sirens sounding the entire conference. We really had the majority of our cards in food and drink, so that was kind of the primary category that we started with, but we also found that we had some time-related issues, not having enough time to get to a conference or an event, or events going overtime, or having different issues going on, multiple sessions going on at once that people couldn't make it to. And then others related to the venue, so like the temperature, or not having a head count ahead of time for certain sessions and not knowing how many people wanted to go to a particular one. And then we kind of distilled that down and kind of the more popular ones across the categories that we came up with. For time, it was like testing the technology and the equipment ahead of time to make sure that you knew what you needed to set up ahead of time, just make sure there weren't any technical issues. For the venue itself, having registration ahead of time for the topics, so having people sign up for the talks that they want to go to, so you know how many people are going to be there ahead of time and can plan accordingly for room size. And then for food and drink, again, the most popular one was performing research ahead of time, whether that's sending out a survey to see what type of food people are interested in, or what allergies exist, what type of, or times for meals. So those are the things that we came up with.
Cool. And which one did you say was your...
Performing research into like the food and drink options that are available.
Okay, excellent. Thanks so much, Gavin. And then over to this group, and this is?
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Okay, so some of our anti-problems were things like no coffee, uncooked chicken, natural disasters, shit speakers, poor temperature control. So our general 3 themes that emerged were food and drink, sessions, and the venue. But the one we ended up really honing in on was the sessions overall. A couple of the solutions for that one would be knowing thought leaders in the industry, doing solid pre-planning, and setting the tone and the code of conduct. But the one that really came out on top was conducting a pre-survey, which the good point was made that goes back to the nothing about us without us thing, because you're doing this for everybody, so you should probably get their input.
I like that. Nice full circle. Thank you so much, Rachel. Okay, so our final group is presented by Mackenzie.
I'm facing a really awkward way. I don't know how to do this properly. So our group kind of had a lot of interesting indie problems. Some of my favorites were cookies one day only, not enough Elvis, and then just focus around food. We ended up kind of aligning it to food, stuff for the venue, the organizing of it, and the location. And it's kind of interesting because everyone's repeated a lot of the stuff that's already come up on here. So when we kind of narrowed it down to our solutions, the big ones for us, and we kind of realized they all laddered up to if there was like a downtown location and there was more options available, everyone would be a little bit happier for the food thing. But everything in advance, so providing menus ahead of time so people can plan for if that's not something they're interested in. And then also, same thing everyone else said, sign up surveys or like some sort of research about the actual organization of the speakers so that the rooms are more appropriate for the hotter topics.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Mackenzie. So you just made my point very nicely, actually. Yes, as you get a very big group, eventually the same thing does emerge, which is what you all found. So what we might do if we were taking this back to our artifact is to create a new row now for opportunities and pains for each of the different stages that we've done. So what we can do is we can ask Carl and Brett to just collect up all of this and be like, hey guys, you got ideas for next year? So we've got about 6 minutes left. There's not every slide that I'm going to finish going through, but the slides have got lots of words on them and you can take a look at them in your own time. I just want to give you this homework though. So Cleve, I think, mentioned accessibility. And what I want you to do is think of this journey map in your heads from a different perspective. So what about somebody who has visual impairments? Would there be different problems, different access needs they would have? Probably yes, which means the solutions would also have to be different. What about somebody with a chronic pain condition? Or what about somebody who struggles with bright lights or too much noise or something like too many poppies? Think about that, because it means that you consider something from a perspective other than your own, which is an important one. And it means that you'll come up with a solution that works for more people than just us. What about someone like Yvette? We posed for this picture earlier because, as you know, she was able to come up onto this stage, but if we had a speaker like Yvette and we hadn't wrecked the building, how would she get up the stairs? We can't include her if we don't think about her. And making it easy for users with the greatest need makes it good for everybody. She mentioned like tin openers and things. So OXO made a tin opener, it's a brand, made a tin opener for elderly people or people who have got low muscle strength in their hands. It's very easy to turn, very easy to use. And it ended up being their best-selling tin opener because it just worked well for everybody. So like Yvette says, just do it anyway without knowing if you will need it. And temporary disability happens all the time anyway. So if you think about your clients, I think I have this here. So use your customer journey map to help your clients learn how to do things simply. If you write in plain language, that helps the client who's reading something on the go, when they're tired, when they're stressed out, because plain language has a lower cognitive burden than anything that's very technical or long. So keep it simple, and keep it simple for you as well, because like Lynn was saying, as we get into that burnout stage, being able to write simply is one of the things that can help us to reduce that stress. With your customer journey map, learn what kind of cadence and type of information is necessary and useful for your clients, identify points of failure and risk in communication, and make a process that works then for any type of client. So this is again going back to considering different users and their different types of needs. You might have somebody who's very, very tech savvy, very technical client, but you might have somebody who doesn't talk that language. If you can create a process that works for both of those different types of clients, eventually it will work for every type of client that you have, and it will work for you very well as well. So I'm going to skip through these ones. I'm not going to do the question time because we don't have 10 minutes, but I will do the quiz and the prize time. Is that cool? These people can come in the room. Come on in, come on in.
Come on in, everybody.
So what I want you to do is go to kahoot.it. So some of you may know that, I hope this works, Carson. There you go. Classic, right, Carson? Okay, so what you need to do is enter this game pin. So go to kahoot.it and you'll get a thing that you have to put this game pin into. 602944. This is a quiz. As fast as finger plus correct answer first. It'll be a podium finish, but only the number one will get my facilitator's goodie bag. Thank you, that is the correct response. But I have a bunch of stuff in here that I love using. Tape, different kinds of post-it notes, stickers for dot voting, Sharpies, etc. So who have we got? We've got 40 players. Somebody estimated there were 46 in the room. We've got these folks over there. You can join if you want. Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to join? Okay, if not, we're going to start. So you need to look at this screen and look at your phones. On this screen will be the question and the corresponding multiple choice answers. On your phone will be the color and shape of the answer that's on here. You will have to maybe go through one question to really get what it's all about, but we're going to start. So remember, fastest finger and most correct answer. Is everybody ready? Excellent. It's very stressful, yes. So facilitate is from the French word facile, which means, is it to schedule? Is it to meet? Is it easy? Or is it to face? So that's facilitate from the French word facile. I think there's music on this, which I might be able to. No, I can't do it. All right, so we have. All right, so the right answer was easy. Bit of a spread, but most of you got it. Should we see who's currently in first place? It is Caitlin. It's Caitlin. All right, let's move straight on to the next question. UX, that stands for useful exercises, user experience, user examination, or used xylophone. Most of you got this. It does mean user experience. Okay, who's number one? We've got 3 more questions to go. It's Lydia. Where's Lydia? Oh, you're snapping at her heels. Okay. A visual representation of the customer experience is called a user flow chart, a UX treasure map, a Gantt chart, or a journey map. What's the right answer? UX treasure map. Most of you got this. It is journey map. Let's see who's number one. I think we have 2 more questions left. It's Megan. Which Megan? Over here. Right. Affinity mapping. That involves, this is a bit of a trick question because I didn't talk about it. Clustering similar ideas, graphing likes and dislikes, directions to friends, or Gantt charts. It's clustering similar ideas. Apologies if you got this wrong. I was supposed to point out that you did your affinity mapping when you grouped your post-its together. You used lots of techniques, and I will talk about them in Slack later. Okay, Megan, you're still number one, but I think we have 1 more question left, and it's anyone's. Okay, I didn't write these questions. Okay, Shahina, whoever that is, their accent is... I could tell you were running out of ideas, Casson. Okay, and I guess we'll find out the winner is... Well, the right answer is British, correct, and the winner is... It's Megan! Come and get your prize! There you go, enjoy facilitating. Okay, I need to get off this stage. It's 4:15. Thanks ever so much, everybody. I hope it was fun. I hope you learned some stuff. If I can ask everybody to just lend a hand, everybody who did the session, lend a hand tidying up. We'll get it done fast. And if we have questions, let's just stay in touch on Slack. Thank you.